What's up, my brother? We're doing a little impromptu quick pod for the day. My boy is in travel mode in the Canada area.
Alberta.
So yeah, we scrambled together here with our time frame differences.
Overreactions.
Yeah, it's time for overreaction podcast week 2 edition of talking college ball with the boys. Yeah, we can just hop right in. Obviously, the state of Florida, our 3 teams that we discussed the most, look like they might be pretty good this year. We might have a nice little round robin. The state champs might be legit. So, first and foremost, we'll go with the early game before we talk national, and that would be the Florida State Seminoles, the team that we were wrong about. And
Hey, man. Hey, we got to take it all back because we were making fun of them.
Well, again, this is part of week 1 or not knowing. You don't know until you see some of these guys, so you don't know which quarterback's going to step up, which quarterback's going to not look so good, which team's going to look good. Some of these new coordinators, some of the new faces everywhere with the portal. Our big question mark was, can Castellanos back up the talk he talked, in the offseason? How was the marriage with Malzahn going to be? Was the portal guys they hit on? And, kudos to Florida State. They looked really, really good. They were impressive in that win. And it wasn't, there's obviously some overreaction to what does this Bama team look like, and that's the age old question of, as the season goes, we'll find out. I was listening to, the national media and stuff like that, is you don't want to take away anything from Florida State's win. Great win. But what if Alabama ends up going 7-5 this year? Ultimately, that week 1 win was nice, but then it's just okay, they beat a mediocre Alabama team. But I'm not gonna sit here and poo-poo the win, because Alabama was the number 8th ranked team in the country. A lot of people liked what Alabama had. Their major question mark was quarterback play. And it showed up. It showed up Saturday. Castellanos played way better than Ty Simpson, and the 2 defenses looked totally different. Florida State was flying around thumping, and Bama was just out of lanes, getting out motioned, and kind of lack of effort with Gus Malzahn's tricky motion offense with pulling guards going opposite ways and all that stuff. And like I say, Florida State beat the hell out of Alabama, and it was pretty impressive.
I think there's a lot of overreaction to week 1. We were talking about it when we were watching all the games, and going into a week 1, everyone's getting ready for it. You don't know, like you say, that building's been so quiet. You don't know what was coming out of there. The one thing we did know going into it, that everything Gus Malzahn, what he loves to do and runs, he ran it on Saturday. And to see Alabama out of position, out physical was crazy. At the start of the game, me and you were watching it, and we thought, well, Alabama's going to come out and just run the ball and set a tone. But I think the play that did it for me, and was when Alabama did get down to the goal line, and you saw Earl Little just come in, flying in, and he smacks the running back, and to set the tone. And I think that set the tone for the rest of the game, of Alabama being physical. Florida State being physical, and Alabama just not being physical. And then when you go back and you watch the tape and see some of the things that happen on the field, Alabama's confused on defense. They were getting manhandled. To see the Florida State offensive line, which I knew it was going to be better, I just didn't think it was going to be this good with Herb Hand. He's just one of the best offensive line coaches in college football, and they looked way more organized. And then the theme of the weekend, I think you said it a million times on Saturday, is the teams that are winning is the quarterback being mobile. The mobile quarterback, to jump ahead, because a lot of these offenses are behind, and you saw it if you watched enough games this past weekend. The defenses are ahead of the offenses right now, and Ty Simpson looked like a scared man sitting back there in the backfield for Alabama. He had clean pockets the whole game, and he just didn't know where to go with the ball. And hey, kudos to Florida State. They set the tone. They came out, they heard all the noise, they blocked it out, it stayed in building. And Castellanos looks like a genius, saying what he said, because something he knew. And you can see that, like I say, if you just see the clips on Twitter of the offensive line, there was one where they double teamed the the Bama D tackle, and they took him back like 10 yards, and he was just sliding. So, you know, what do you do? Week 1 and week 2 is going to be the big jump to see where teams are. Hey, shout out to Florida State. They got the dub. Mike did, I guess, right now, good hires offensively and defensively. That other team, man, who knows what's going on in Alabama. I don't know if you saw the clip, too, at the end of the game when Florida State was kneeling. The 2 Alabama defensive linemen are just laughing like, oh, well, like we're going home and we're going to go party.
Yeah, no, I think Alabama and you know, they've been talking about the dynasty crash and all that stuff. When you look at, you know, some of the stats, how they're like 5-10 in their last 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at the games they lost last year. We talked about that Vandy game. We talked about that Oklahoma game. You know, embarrassing kind of losses. Like, you know, Bama doesn't lose to Vandy, and then how they got just, you know, mollywopped by Oklahoma in that one game last season. And, you know, then you flip it forward and it looks the same. That's the scary part. It looks the same. And, yeah, Ty Simpson, you know, I don't know what they saw in camp, but the only thing I'll give Ty Simpson, he seemed like he cared. You know, he was very like, you know, he was getting after it. But, I mean, hell, he was running for his life a lot. You know, guys weren't getting open. Bernard was the only guy catching balls. Like paging Ryan Williams, the 18-year-old, now 19-year-old. Can we talk about him?
He did have some clean pockets, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
When they start rolling, why they rolled him out so many times is it didn't make sense.
Well,
but
the other part of it is give credit to Florida State. You know, they basically 100%. You know, I'm just saying that this was the other theme of the weekend. This is how all games go. When you get past the first 10 to 15 plays, the script, you know, Bama came out physical and was going to run the ball, you know, and then basically what's crazy is they didn't do anything fancy in that first drive. And they had like 57 yards, something like that. And then they rushed for 29 yards the rest of the day. Yeah. Like Florida State made whatever changes they need to make after that first drive, shut the run game completely down. And then basically no other guys wanted to make plays except Bernard. He was the only guy getting open. And I think, you know, the kind of the timing of some of the plays that hit for Florida State were just big, man. It was some of those
you got to be disciplined.
The reverse play, you know, the big pass play down to Squirrel White, and then like Castellanos just looked in control of the whole offense. Like that's what I want. I want a clean execution look. And like his numbers didn't go crazy, but he was, you know, consistent in the pass game, and his run game was very effective.
Extended drives.
And so, like, I think, again, now they get 2 easy games, you know, to even get more well-oiled against East Texas A&M Commerce or whoever, and Kent State before they get into conference play with Virginia and play you guys. So, like, you know, it's going to be interesting to see the developmental stage of Florida State and where they go. But definitely, you know, they came out of nowhere, you know, ranked number 14 in the country, and now both Florida and Miami's schedules just got tougher because Florida State looks like a top 15, top 20 team, and they are, I think, capable. So now the big question is for the other team, like Alabama, what do they do? And in all honesty, that's an effort thing and all that.
It was all effort.
The thing about it is they obviously get La Monroe, so they'll beat them by 50 this week, and everything will be all good. But you know, Wisconsin, Georgia, Vandy on the next 3 after that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Now Bama looks like a 3 or 4 loss team in my opinion. They've already got one. Like I wouldn't pick that team to beat Georgia. Hell, I wouldn't pick that team to beat Tennessee right now, you know, or South Carolina on the road. So
I think it goes back to what we said is the overreaction from week 1. I think Bama will be fine, but like you say, going out of that game, they're looking like a 7, 8, 9 win team.
Right. Yeah, they can still win 9 or 10 games.
Yeah,
they got to correct all that stuff we talked about.
It was a lot of bad, and I'm sure DeBoer is having one of those weeks that most players hate when coaches could take a loss, but a loss like they had with no effort and no just desire to be there is what drives them nuts. And because even for Florida State, there's still stuff you got to work on. Like I say, that's everyone in week one.
Totally.
their strengths. There were some drops that shouldn't have happened during that game. Defensively, there were still guys out of position, especially that first drive. But once again, you don't know what the other team's doing and get a feel for what they're doing. The thing that shocks me the most is how bad Alabama was out of position when the whole world knew Gus Malzahn has 20 years of tape out there. To say he's going to do a lot of motions, a lot of reverses, a lot of pulling guards the wrong way. And you got to say to yourself, it's like playing a triple option team. You got to be very disciplined. In Florida State, Alabama wasn't disciplined on defense. And like you said, if you're Mike, you're happy. The only thing you're scared of going through the rest of the season is you love that Castellanos is running and extending plays, but, he has to learn, get down, get out of bounds, which he did a great job of that. He didn't He took one unnecessary hit. The rest of the
injury, they're an injury away from being in trouble. If their quarterback if he goes down or whatever, they might be in trouble. But again,
now you gotta love it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Now here's the other flip side too. Now bullseye on your back. Now everybody, you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. No. Everybody, you've gained the full attention of everyone on your schedule. So now can you play with that again? So but good, like I say, good on
defensively, they brought an intensity I didn't see at all last year.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Both sides of the ball. The offensive line was
for sure.
That they were physical.
I guess too, like going back to DeBoer sounds like an idiot too in press conferences, bro. I'm like, what is like? Did you see the back and forth yesterday? Where he was like,
to me, but I didn't really get a chance to watch
it. It was like the guy asked him a question saying something like, last week, you said you felt good, going into the game and, all preseason camp, you were good. And, what changed in that game to where, you weren't good, obviously. And he's like, I said we were good. Like he was almost like, huh? You're saying what? I didn't say that. It was almost just like, bro,
even your guy, I saw Pate said the couple times he went to camp to the Alabama camp, he's like, he did not expect to see on Saturday. But, it goes down to an effort thing. And do they really want to be there? And that's, some coaches are going to say that's the part of the NIL era is like, how do you motivate guys now to be there? It didn't help. It didn't help that Isaiah Horton, 1 catch, 6 yards, and he got hurt. And then Ryan Williams is taking a lot of shots. But, that's on coaching to get other guys involved. So, hey, once again, kudos to Florida State. Let's see where they go from here.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I say, the other boys of old Florida, not the Gators, but the Canes, baby. The Canes looked pretty damn impressive as well. Like the state of Florida, again, going, top of the podcast, the state of Florida, the big three, even South Florida and UCF, like the big boys look pretty damn good. And I hats off to Miami again. This was one we got right. We both liked the Canes. We both thought it would be a close game, which it was. It was back and forth. I think Notre Dame is a hell of a good team. I think Freeman's got a damn good defense. I think CJ Carr is going to get better as the season goes on. So that's definitely a huge win for Miami. And I think, a lot of people had questions about Carson Beck. How would he look? And I thought Carson did great. I mean, he doesn't have to do, again, he doesn't have to do Cam Ward numbers and throw for 400.
No.
Like, you guys now have, like, this is the type of team I think you want, where you can be physical on the ground game with your offensive line that looks really good. The only thing I always question Mark sometimes is, damn, Mario can get a little conservative for me, but that's just his MO. But I was more so also impressed with that damn defense. That defense was flying around and, like, it looked good it looked way better than last year's D, where you're giving up, big plays to Syracuse, big plays to, Georgia Tech and, blown, looking out of place. So I definitely hats off to the Hurricanes because and Hard Rock was rocking. It was a nice night for your boys.
Yeah, I mean that. Like I say, that's the age-old question. Is the stadium? I was talking to Gus about it, and he was just like, "You never see Hard Rock like that, or it should be like that." And I'm like, if you go back to the 2000-2001 team,
when you're winning, yeah.
Well, no, but there's still plenty of games where the stadium's empty. It's just
yeah.
People once again got to understand Miami's just a different place. On a Saturday, in November when the weather's nice, people can still go to the beach, and it's an hour away from campus. So, but games like that, the fans come out, and it looks like they're sold out again, or like 1,000 tickets short of a sellout against BCC. But onto the game, the good offensively,
terrible, by the way. BCC is
well,
they are god awful.
Even if they're good, Miami still should beat them.
No, I know, but they are god awful. Go ahead. Yeah.
So the good offensively, I like Carson controlled the offense. He was able to make checks and change some plays out, something apparently he couldn't do at Georgia. They were able to run the football, not as great as I wanted them to, but they were able to push that. I knew that Miami had the size advantage and the pocket was going to be clean, which it was majority of the night. The ball to CJ was, that's the Carson I know you guys were talking about, that he's going to give one to you. And he almost did, and CJ Daniels made a hell of a catch up there with BB3.
He might have bailed him out. Right? Those two great.
They're definitely going to be two of the top catches of the year. But
week one.
Yeah, offensively, like I said, Carson, was able to move the ball. The bad was that stretch in the third quarter where you score before the half to go up, and then you score to start the second half. Not only did you score to start the second half, you ran half the clock out of the third period. You get a stop, you get the ball back, and on 3rd and 1, you got the back trying to make a cut on a wet field, and you give the ball back to Notre Dame with 5 minutes left, and they were able to get a score. They get a first down there. Even if Miami doesn't score, they could run the whole clock out potentially to end the third quarter to where Notre Dame is, in panic mode. So the bad on offense, I still want to see the boys up front be a little bit more physical in the run game. They weren't blowing Notre Dame off the ball, which is, like I say, still one of the better defenses they're going to see all year, but still you want to see them be physical. Malachi Tony, I forgot to say, that was good to see a true freshman out there making plays. That was good to see. And then defensively, Mesidor and Bain controlled the game, I think, at defensive end. The one thing they got to work on is that QB draw, QB run. You get a couple of those stops, you flip the ball over back to Miami in the offense. So that means in the interior has to get a little better. But secondary wise, they played pretty good. One blown assignment, Torre was covering the tight end and he jumped down instead of following the tight end, and that's when Notre Dame had one of their big plays. But if Bain and Mesidor could be healthy, you got to like your chances with them rushing the quarterback for the most part.
Yeah, no, like I say, when you look at the numbers in the game too, I mean, obviously when you have a 3-point game where it comes down to a late field goal, like the numbers are very comparable, like, rushing and, passing for both teams. And I think obviously the one critical mistake, or in my sense, big play, was the interception, late in the game when Bain got the pick.
Yeah.
That was all like effort on the defensive, the defensive back and all those guys flying to that screen play, getting the ball knocked around in the air, and it was chaotic, and, they pick it off. That was huge in that point in the game because Notre Dame had got a little momentum, had the ball, and they were like, okay, can they go down, and take the lead and, try to ice it themselves, but kudos to get the big play. And then that sets you up there where you take the lead and, run the clock out and finish off the game. But like I say, I think my biggest question was I want to see Notre Dame's defense and what Miami would be able to do, because I knew they would be good defensively, and they were. And like I say, so now the question is, where does Notre Dame go? Where does Miami go? I think Miami's fine. Like I say, they got their couple of easy games before they play the Gators, and then Notre Dame's got a bye week, and then they play A&M. So Notre Dame can't afford, a second loss. So that's going to be a big game in 2 weeks, Notre Dame and A&M.
The one thing Notre Dame needs to clean up, those pass sets by those tackles were god-awful. When I say god-awful, most people, you don't understand line play, but if you just go and watch some of the pass sets against Bain and Mesidor, they were beat. They were beat before within their first 2 steps, where one guy's jumping out like how you would jump from around the corner to scare someone, and you can't block anybody like that. So I think CJ Carr is going to be a guy. He looked really good. And in that last drive, like I say, those pass sets were just, which they're going to fix. Notre Dame's going to fix that. Like I say, every team has a lot to fix from week 1 to week 2. Like I say, that back end of the Miami secondary, I think, did a really good job for 3/4 of the game. The third quarter, Carr start making some throws, and coaching. I do question some of Mario's coaching after the drive where I was talking about where they went 3rd and 1 and they ran it. After that, it was like, what are we doing? It felt like the times they should have been aggressive, they weren't, and then the times they should have been concerned, vice versa.
Yeah. Right.
That fourth quarter is like, man, we shouldn't even be in this situation right now.
That's what I'm saying. That's where you
why are we throwing the ball when we just need the clock to bleed?
Yeah, I felt like that was part of it too. Is like, God, are we gonna have a moment here where we have a blunder where the Canes have been in total control of this game? They weren't like blowing them out, but they were in control. A score or two, always up, and then all of a sudden it became a tie ball game or one score game, and then it's like I don't know, just your nuts got tight, and you said, all right, let's slow it down and do it. Like you say, not being aggressive. Like you got to figure it out one way or the other. And like I say, it's week 1. Like hopefully he's gonna make some better calls in that situation.
My thing was that who ultimately not being there and not hearing the decisions being made, was that a Shannon Dawson decision?
Right.
Was that a Mario decision?
That's a good question. That's what I don't know.
On that 1 second down, I'm like, just run the ball. Even if we got to go 3rd and medium, if you run the ball, we could get another 40 seconds off the clock. Right. And if you could break one, maybe we could get it to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 to where your options are limitless. But they threw the ball on 2nd down.
Yeah, you know what's great? Okay, now I remember the drive you're talking about too. And on top of that, that was probably Carson's worst throw of the night too. That 2nd down pass. Yeah, it was 100%. Almost like, bro, you put that in harm's way. There was 3 Notre Dame guys there.
Yeah,
you got pass rush. Like that was one of those. Okay, here comes Carson. That was probably like he played great all night. Got rid of balls. Avoided stuff. That was his worst throw of the night, and luckily it was underthrown or it could been picked. And like you say, then you end up having a punt. Real quick 3 and out, and it's just like, dang, like we needed to run some clock right there. But again, kudos to I think both of these teams are potential playoff teams. I'll be interested. Like I say, Notre Dame's got to right the ship and go get a win against A&M. Luckily, I think that game's at home, so like they don't have to go.
It's in South Bend.
So, but yeah. Like I say, the Canes, they get USF. The common opponent that's who the Gators play this week. So that'll be an interesting breakdown. Obviously, we'll flip over to the Gators.
Yeah.
The Gators obviously played a high school team. The game went about according to plan. Definitely not as crisp execution as I wanted to see offensively with the first unit. And I can 100% attribute that to DJ not playing since Tulane. And it showed.
Yep.
We could have ran it down their throat every play if we really wanted to, but you obviously want to get some reps in there with DJ in the first unit of wide receivers and all that. I was watching a little bit of film breakdown too. Like our offensive line didn't play as great as I would have liked them as well. And some of that in pass pro was DJ getting out of the pocket too soon and not settling in. A couple of it was guys just getting whooped. Apparently there was the Lovett kid is the one who caught major heat. Like he was basically getting whooped. And like they're like, oh, that he was the one question mark guy who's played a lot of ball, but still kind of not one of those. Like all the other guys are spoken for and they're counted. They're good. But Bryce Lovett was the one concern. So now it's good. Again, this is why we were talking about. I like the layup game this year. Give me this game so we can get our feet wet, get the kinks worked out, and then now you kind of ratchet up a little bit more against USF. Now you get a good opponent that's going to give you a little more. Then you go to your big dogs, go to Miami and go to LSU and all that stuff. But again, I love Jaden Ball and I love Jacoby Jackson the run game. I think that's going to be fine, and that's something we can definitely lean on. DJ is definitely going to get better as the season goes on, and as long as he takes progression. I can't wait to get Dallas Wilson back in the mix because I think he'd be a player. Now, the one bright spot that Vernell Brown, the third, VB3, my boy, looked electric, which I've seen him since he's 12. And the dude was flying around on, punt return, short screen game was getting loose, had obviously the one big, huge one-handed catch was big. I thought defensively, obviously, again, you're playing against a team where you're just going to overwhelm them. So not much there to look at. It's basically, let me see what you do this week,
Yeah, I mean, the only this game, there's going to be more criticisms than positives because you're going to win the game. That wasn't in question. The VB3 catch was a hell of a catch, but if you go back and watch it, if he continues running his route, that's an easy touchdown.
Right. Yeah.
He slowed down on it, and then he had to speed up and then jump. Like I say, not taking anything away from that catch because it was I couldn't do it. I don't know if your hamstrings would hold in to do it.
I'm not fast enough to run there like that.
But no, it was a hell of a catch. But that's something he's going to learn as a freshman. That hey, if I run through this, I continue running my route. Unless the ball's underthrown, I catch that and I score. And that was my only other criticism was the offensive line play because even down at the goal line, I was like, man, you guys should be blowing off the ball and pushing back LIU at the 2-yard line, and this should be an easy touchdown. I mean, they scored, but like I say, the criticisms are, to me, mainly the offensive line, and they got to be better. And play calling down there at the end. Like, why are we doing a counter? We're supposed to blow this team off the ball and just get downhill. So
I don't know if he was, I can say that's part of it too. Yeah, it's Billy's always been questioned for totally, and I think too. I think the other big takeaway from the game was Tramel Jones getting all the second half reps. And, I mean, that was and he played well too for a true freshman. Obviously LIU taken into account, but like, I was talking to Dave the other day, and it's one of those things of like, this is kind of shock a little bit, I guess, because he had been rotating with Warner and Harrison Bailey all of camp.
But honestly, did it make sense to put those two guys in?
That's
something you want to see.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I think this decision was made, which kudos to Billy for making the decision and say, hey, Tramel Jones is definitely the future.
We know Warner with those other
exactly. And here's the thing. What I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to the other day. You might not see the backup quarterback the rest of the year with the schedule we got. So like it might make, like, do I expect to be up 35-0 on South Florida this week and we can put Tramel in? No, I don't. Like maybe Kentucky, but you wouldn't think so either. So,
and he still got 3 games for his red shirt. So this would be the game for him to play to make the most sense. That's why, like, when he went in, I was like, I would.
Yeah, I'm totally for it. So I thought he played well too for his reps that he got. So, that'll be an interesting, development going forward. Like I say, it was just, one of those games where you're going to criticize and whatever. And, it's LIU. They're terrible. Yeah. And now the season ratchets up and it's big boy ball from here on out.
So go, just to shed a little light on it, it's from going from week 1 to week 2 with improvement. It goes back to, I'll go back to Miami last year. Mm-hmm. They look great defensively against the Gators week 1. Right. And then they regress the rest of the year. If coaches are like, all right, we know what we need to work on. Let's improve on those areas like Alabama. We can't get out motion because they're probably going to see that again when they play Auburn. Auburn runs that up-tempo style offense, and they're going to see a running quarterback later. But I know that's the last game of the year, but you're going to see those even playing Vanderbilt. I'm not sure if they do, but if they play Pavia, what do we improve on? And that's every team, because even like through these next couple of games, we're going to talk about Texas, Ohio State. There's so much they both need to improve on. And that's every team around the country. So week 1 to week 2, I'm trying not to overreact on what I saw.
No, for sure. Exactly. AKA Joe Thornton. Stop overreacting, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, look good the first couple of weeks of the year last year, and then how did they finish?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
why I'm like, it's a great win against Notre Dame, but
that's a hell of a win. It's a hell of a win for sure. But all right. Well, let's talk about some of the other big national games. Obviously, you just talked about it. The 2 big ones were Texas, Ohio State, and LSU Clemson. So we'll go with the early game, the big noon kickoff game at the Shoe, where Ohio State outlasts 14-7 over the Texas Longhorns. We were both kind of wrong about this one. The game kind of went according to how we thought it would go. We just kind of thought Texas might win 14-7.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first on this one, and I'll chime in after your what your initial thought process was.
Offensively, for both teams, it was very ugly. Yeah. Defensive coordinators got to be loving what they saw, especially Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia threw out a lot of different looks and a different scheme than Arch was probably used to seeing or thought he was going to see. It was, NFL-style defense. I think they did a great job of blanketing their receivers and getting pass rush. But with that being said, Arch has to learn, and that Texas offensive line has to learn how to do a simple QB sneak. I mean, you had 3 opportunities on QB sneaks, a big 4th down at midfield, and then a 4th down at the goal line that you couldn't convert. And if they convert those, Texas is up because their defense was shutting down Ohio State for the most part. Outside of the first touchdown on the touchdown drive to make it 7-0, you had 2 bad defensive penalties. You had one on Colin Simmons with the hands to the face, and then you had I think a DPI for the most part, and that put Ohio State in position to go up 7-0, and it was pretty much like that for most of the half. And then, it was just a bad game to watch, to be honest with you. We were all excited, 1 versus 3 or 1 versus 2, however you had it ranked. But these teams are going to look totally different in 3-4 weeks because they both have cupcakes to get those offenses going. The one thing that was surprising was the 2 early drops by J.S. Ford. Jeremiah Smith doesn't drop those easy passes, but everyone's getting back into the swing of things. And the criticism I have for the Ohio State offense is I don't understand why they didn't try to get Tate and Ennis in the game more, especially when Texas was double teaming Jeremiah Smith. But overall, if you're Ohio State, you're happy. Now you can navigate the rest of your schedule. And you got 2 big games left, I think. And then I think Texas is going to be fine. Their next big game is not till when they get to the Swamp, I believe. So they got plenty of time to right the ship and get things going and get the offense going. Defensively, both teams are going to be good. Now, the only caveat to that is for Ohio State, I haven't seen anything else. Losing Kenyatta, Big Yada Jackson is going to be huge for them if he's out for an extended period of time. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll probably hold him out this week since they're not playing anyone.
Yeah, I think both of these are definitely championship level defenses, and it showed obviously when you see a 14-7 ball game, those defenses are playing well. Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest overreaction too was the hype that Arch was getting, and everybody was talking about how great he was. Then he came out and didn't play very well, missed some throws. Now he's the worst quarterback in the world according to everybody. So just that quick, they just that fast.
He's so fast.
They go from loving to hating you. So like I say, the question will be, how does Arch progress on? I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be fine. The biggest thing is they probably should have used him maybe more in some design run. And they did have some decent success running the ball as well. Maybe they should have ran it a little more. But, we talked about it too. When you lose Golden and Bolden and you're typing, Golden, Bolden, Bond, and Helm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a lot. Sound like a law firm.
Golden, Bolden, and Helm with Bond. Yeah. When you lose those 4 weapons, yes, I love Ryan Wingo and I do like DeAndre Moore, but that's just 2 guys. I think on the flip side, Ohio State secondary, Igbenogson really good. Mm-hmm. The other freshman corner is pretty damn good too.
Matthews back there is pretty good.
Yeah, Matthews is really good. That's what I'm talking about. And then obviously you got Caleb Downs, one of the best players in the country. We know that they recruit, just rotational guys to come in and be the next wave. Mm-hmm. I think definitely Matt Patricia's defensive scheme and what he was throwing at Arch was high level stuff that this is basically his first start on the road, and he only played against Mississippi State and
Patricia had all summer to get this install in for this game. Now going forward, can these guys pick up the NFL style changes on a short 20-hour week? Well,
right,
20-hour week. Practice schedule.
Yeah, like I say, I feel like I think Sand just did what he needed to do. He didn't really have to be impressive. I think that was the other thing too. Ryan Day basically looked at this and said, "Hey, our defense is playing great. Let's just play conservative. Let's not do anything dumb to blow this." Like they probably could open it up, and that's what they will do in these next couple of weeks, to where they probably saw some stuff like, "Hey, we can get this open with Jeremiah Smith down the field." Definitely need to get Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis involved a little more in the offense. But again, week 1, you're playing against a hell of a defense. In these 3 games that we're talking about, the Canes game, the top 10 matchup games, it's almost like who gives a damn how it get the win. Just get out of there and get the win. I don't care if your quarterback throws for 20 yards or you rush for 20 yards or whatever, win the damn game.
So I got one for you. Joe and I were kind of talking about this on Saturday. It's do you love these week 1 matchups, or do you want them to be week 2, week 3, like you said, with a tune-up game? I'm kind of on the fence with it. You know what? Let me get your opinion, and I'll give you.
Yeah, because here's a prime example. Like this week's schedule sucks. Like it like last week you had all these games, and when we really think about it, y'all's game lived up to the billing. This game was kind of a dud, and the LSU Clemson game was kind of a dud too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good game, but it was still like, I don't know, just so it's like, yeah, you're not in prime form, basically. So if LSU and Clemson were playing week 3 or this week, you at least have a game under your belt. But again, even then, are you really going to be that primed up in week 2, even if you played, Kent State? Maybe. So I guess I'm on the fence with it as well. I could have it either way, maybe space it out to where you have a couple good ones on week 1 and a couple good ones on week 2. But it definitely is like a mouth-watering bite into a steak appetizer week 1 when you have these big-time matchups. So I'll go give me the matchups because, again, they got to play their conference schedule, so you can't have these games like in like week 8 and 9. No team – if you're in the middle of your conference schedule, and you're Miami, you don't want to be like, damn, we got to play Notre Dame this week. You're like, bring me Wake Forest, man. Like,
Yeah. I think for me, like you said, I'm on the fence with it. I think if it was Will Howard versus Quinn Ewers, like I was last year, week 1, I think the game would have been a little better. It would have been a little sloppy, but I think it would have been better just because you have those veteran quarterbacks versus guys who are getting the first time starts. Now we see so many guys getting their first start, young guys and freshmen. I think going forward, so next year and the year after that, as these guys stay, those week 1 games are going to look pretty good. They're going to be decent. Right. They're going to be a little sloppy, but I doubt we're going to see 14-7.
Right.
But with that being said, the next game we're about to talk about had 2 returning starters, and it didn't look good with Clemson LSU.
Exactly. I mean, Nussmeier played pretty good in my opinion. Cade was a little
It was a weird game because I felt like Clemson dominated majority of the game, but they just couldn't put it away. I mean, they had 2 or 3 missed field goals. They had some opportunities to score, and they had bad penalties, and they had to punt. And LSU just did enough to hang around. We see who the number 1 guy is going to be in Anderson. Nussmeier and Anderson seemed like that was the combo the whole night. And LSU slowly got their run game going during the second half. And if you're Dabo, you're not happy you lost, but at the same time, you're sitting there watching that tape and you're like, dadgum, we had every opportunity to put up points the whole night when LSU was struggling on offense, and they just couldn't do it, missing field goals and not taking advantage of opportunities.
That was another crazy polar press conference exchange.
Yeah. I saw a short clip. Well, you sent it to me. So
Dabo was giving a grade on the game. We both kind of sucked. They got a 65 and we got a 58, and then Kelly's like, oh, well, if that's the case, I don't know what he saw in the second half. But again,
both offenses are going to be good. I think both teams are going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I guess here was the big question mark we had going in is we both said why we like Clemson was their defensive front versus this questionable offensive line that LSU had. For the most part, I think LSU's O-line held up okay. I mean, they did enough. They didn't run it great. They ran it for 108 total yards. Obviously, Caden Durham had the 74 total yards. On the flip side, Clemson didn't commit to the run, nor could they run it on LSU. No. And so, obviously, you got to get that figured out for conference play. Clemson's got to be able to be balanced. You can't just expect Cade to go out there and throw it 40 times a game.
With a lot, and then he had a lot of drops too.
He did.
Some of those guys had some big drops wide open, and it's just like. But like I say,
that's where I look. Yeah, exactly. That's where I said to you is like I like this Clemson wide receiver core. I like Wesco. I like TJ Moore. I like Tyler Brown. But yeah, I think Nussmeier did enough on offense. Again, here's what's
get the dub.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? That's all it's about. Getting the dub.
And especially if you're LSU, your schedule's a little bit tougher than Clemson. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
you needed to win this opener since you've lost
Yes.
like 5 in a row. So, but again, it'll be interesting to see both of these teams. And like I say, obviously LSU has a layup game this week against La Tech before the Gators come to Baton Rouge. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, like I say, now that's where you got juice. You know, we had big time juice right there week 1. You know, nothing really like I think the biggest marquee game is Oklahoma, Michigan this week. But then like you turn around week 3 and you got like, okay, Florida, LSU, you got Notre Dame, Texas A&M. So you got some games where you're like, okay, we got 2 under our belt. That game in Baton Rouge, you're hoping for 2 undefeated teams. You're like, this game could be pretty damn good. Well, we're gonna find out. But I guess what were your other big takeaways? Because those were primarily the big games. Yeah, there's some other big games on the schedule. Who impressed Tennessee? I don't know who impressed you.
Yeah, I was really shocked by how the offense looked. I wasn't expecting it to be clicking that fast.
Yeah, Aguilar versus Nico's first game performance.
Night and day. Oh, before we move on, it really wasn't much. Like I say, a lot of it is week 1 blues and a lot of cleanup. A lot of these teams that we think look bad will probably look good towards the end of the year, and a lot of teams that would look good week 1 could look bad towards the end of the year. Yep. But the physicality in the South Carolina V-Tech game was, I love that. There was some thumping going on. And what about the huge decision by Beamer to accept the penalty instead of taking the kick that V-Tech committed a penalty. Yeah. And instead of declining it and just taking a punt, he made them repunt. And then that's where the 80-yard punt return came in to pretty much put the game away for the most part, because the game was pretty close.
Dude, that game was wild. Like that. What's funny is I text Gator Dave after the very first drive, the script.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. I was like, that's what I wanted DJ to look like. And like, I mean, they hit, you know, it was like it, but then it was like, again,
it was
Virginia Tech's defense kind of settled in and they shut them down.
Yeah.
For the majority of the game until they gave up the big play to Nick Harbor.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, it was like, you know,
speaking of that, what the fuck is a catch? Sorry, what is a catch? What, the LSU game where the kid caught the ball and he goes through the end zone and he completes everything, and then right when he hits the ground, the nose of the ball hits it, but it doesn't really move, and he has it. And then the Nick Harbor catch. Then there was like a couple other games where you're like, what, can someone please explain to me what a catch is? Because they have just blown the definition of catch out of the air. Like yeah. Sorry for the F-bomb. But I was just like, what is a catch?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, that was that Virginia Tech's defense looked pretty good for the most part. Offensively, they kind of struggled. But yeah, the big punt return, and then they got the late touchdown to really seal it. But you know, I thought South Carolina, like we kind of thought South Carolina would look that way. I guess the other 2 games that I thought were maybe the 2 of the best weekends was the Friday night games. I enjoyed watching Baylor, Auburn, and Georgia Tech in Colorado. Both of those games kind of were, you know, battling, and that goes back to the running quarterback. Like is Jackson Arnold going to be able to run it for 150 yards a game, you know, and only throw it for 120 in the SEC? No way.
No.
Obviously Haynes King can do that, but is Haynes King going to make it through this? Is he going to make it through the season? Well, you know, like
no.
Like he's got to be more cautious with his body for sure.
Like you say, take advantage of the positives and
like that is the offense.
And just get the W and figure it out from week 1 to week 2, because a lot of these teams in week 2 are playing cupcakes that they can clean up. Now, don't go in there slipping and end up losing to one of those cupcakes, which
for sure.
I think most of these teams won't, but yeah.
Yeah, well, like I say, that transitioning into this week, Miami's got like BCC is terrible. Like FIU beat them 49-7, dude. Like this is a game where this is a game where you go in, execute, like kind of like the Gators playing LIU. Yeah. Let Carson go in there, throw it around a little bit, lean on the run game, let some young guys get some experience. You know, fly around on defense, make some hits on like just get out of there. Like say,
because one of the questions is we still got to figure out who's the backup quarterback at Miami.
Right. Yeah. So let's see
You
who
got
the
to figure
backups
that
are.
out.
Let's see who the backups are. Let them get reps.
Yeah.
Kind of similar thing for Florida State as well. I don't think like I just do what
Build
you
off
need
of
to
week
do.
one.
Yeah,
So
they're playing. They got East Texas A&M. That's who they're
So
playing.
here are the themes for each team. For Florida State, build off of week 1 to week 2 and continue that trend of being physical. Gus Malzahn getting that offense going. Herb Hand with the defensive line, and that defense just flying around the ball and trying to knock people out. For Miami, win the game, get your starters out, figure out who your backups are in key positions, and then for Florida, you got to get in there. You got to start fast because what we saw from USF, Alex Golish is finally getting his offense implemented, and those guys are finally realizing what they need to do, that up-tempo style. Will Caleb Banks be back this week? I think he was just held out for precaution.
He was.
Can he be physical on that defensive line and control things with those other guys on defense? And then offensively for the Gators, put up enough points in the offensive line being dominant. Those are the 3 keys for those 3 games. They all 3 should win, but Florida with the more riskier game of the of the 3, get in, get out. It's at home. The Swamp's going to be rocking. It's a night game, isn't it, or is it a 3:30?
It's like 4:15. 4:15.
Still quasi night game.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what I think about the 3 games. I'll let you talk about the Florida game. You know,
like I say, that Miami and Florida State, they're going to beat BCC and Texas, East Texas and whatever. Yeah, the Gator game definitely more risque, as you said, because South Florida was fairly impressive in their win over Boise. Boise was a top 25 team coming in. It goes to show you that that team was all Ashton Genty last year, and they are a whole new band of outfits trying to be that. And that game started out kind of slow. Boise took the lead early, but then the big play was when they faked the punt with the kid from St. Augustine came in and threw the fake punt touchdown.
Yeah.
The thing with and then they kind of like just tacked on some late touchdowns and made like 34-7 is an impressive they blew out Boise. They handled business.
The Florida defense is going to have to wrap up that big quarterback.
Yeah. Byron Brown is the big dude.
Yeah.
And here's the big thing that I would say, obviously Golish, he likes to go super fast. And this is where going super fast is good, but it can be counterproductive as well when you get stops. And Boise was getting stops early in that game to where you don't want to have those quick 3 and outs, man. Like you want to establish some drives, because then on the flip side, if the other team's scoring, you could be down 14-0 real quick. And then you're kind of like out of your element. You're not doing what you want to do. So the Gators definitely need to cause that. They need to cause that problem to where, if they're going fast, get them in 3 and out, get the ball back, go down, score. I still feel that we should be able to run the ball on this team. I feel like DJ game 1 to game 2 should get a little more comfortable. He needs to, look at the game tape and be like, okay, why did I leave the pocket here? I had a clean pocket. Should have never left the pocket. I got my own self sacked. I need to look at my progressions, all that stuff. Hopefully, Dallas Wilson will play this game. If not, hold him out to LSU, whatever. Yeah, Kit and Caleb Banks back in there. Like defensively, corral their quick speed stuff, hit that quarterback in the mouth. Now the question is, the line was big out the gate, and it's been bet down 2.5 points. It was 19.
Yeah.
Can the Gators win by 3 touchdowns is the question. What do you think? Would you take the points?
I would take the points.
Yeah, I would take the points too, just
because
like I say,
that's
they could get that. It's almost like, they could be up by 21 late. Like, it could be like, 35-14 or something, and they let them score a touchdown.
It could go
35-21 something.
That 19 could go either way. You explained it perfectly. If the Gators could slow down that offense and get them 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, you could jump up 21 points real quick. Or it could be one of those things where they wear out the Gators. Yeah, you guys are scoring, but they're scoring enough to keep it in that 19. Like I said, either way, I think Florida is going to win. But I would have taken that 19 at the beginning. Now down to the 17, 18. Yeah. Kind of questionable, but I would still take the points at this moment.
Yeah, I think I would take the points too. It feels like a lot of points for some reason. But that's the way Vegas is trying to figure these lines out too as these teams play on.
Yeah.
I like us to win the game, but who knows? Like again, you gotta take your jump, like you said, like we've been talking about the theme of the week for all these teams. Take your jump from week 1 to week 2. improve upon all that crap you messed up, in the first game, and get better. Other games, obviously the big one is Michigan, Oklahoma. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that one? I don't know how much you deep dove into Michigan, Bryce Underwood, and the Oklahoma boys.
I don't know enough to really, not knowing.
Neither team. Yeah, they played Ducks week 1.
And then you'd have thought that Oklahoma would have blew out whoever they played, but not watching the game, you don't know if they were just being conservative and taking it easy. But I think right now, I probably would have to lean towards Oklahoma and Brent Venables' defense against a true freshman. They're going to give way more looks, and his defense is one of those fast, complex defenses. So right now, I'm leaning Oklahoma.
Yeah, Mateer threw for 392, 30 of 37. They played Illinois State. They won 35-3.
You don't have a gauge, which is great for them. You get a new quarterback and a new system with his OC being there. You get that Duck game to get out of the way, in a sense, to figure out some things before you go to the big house. So you gotta love that.
Oh, the game's actually at Boomer. It's at Boomer, baby. Boomer Sooners' home team.
Oh, okay. I thought it was at the big house.
Yeah,
So then I definitely love Oklahoma then.
Yeah, I think I like Oklahoma as well. Like Michigan played New Mexico and won 34-17. Bryce Underwood was 21 of 31 for 250 and a touchdown. Justice Haynes had 16 for 159 on the ground. Obviously, that was pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, they gave up 17 points to New Mexico. But so, like I say, the line for the game is blah, blah, blah. Oklahoma's favored by 2.5. So that's just your home field advantage. So that's about. I mean, I think I'd take Oklahoma to win and cover in a tight game. Definitely, rookie quarterback on the road, SEC environment. It's going to be more difficult than playing at home in the big house versus New Mexico.
Yeah, I agree.
But
looking at the rest of these games,
I'm telling you, man, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I think I'm going to go to Gainesville. I think I'm going to go to Gainesville with G. Scott and the boys. It'd be like, hey.
Yeah, the only other game that's intriguing, not really intriguing, I just think after last year's game is Vanderbilt going to Vatech. How does Pavia play? Is that VTech defense as good as we think it can be?
Yeah, and you lick your wounds and get a win, or you 0-2 out the gate.
Right. Arizona State going to Mississippi State. That's just line 6.5. Arizona State should win, but
your boys playing the Hawkeyes and the Cyclone game.
Yeah, Cy-Hawk Trophy. I mean, right now, I guess
you got Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Yeah. They were breaking out some of the transfer portal quarterbacks, and they gave the one from Iowa a D.
Yeah. That's what we – looking back this past week, that's what we really noticed is how much movement there's been in college football.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
What?
I'm looking at the numbers. Oh, man. I'm definitely going Cyclones, baby.
Yeah.
Mark Gronkowski, hopefully not related to Rob or the Gronkowski boys, because I'm hoping not. He was 8 for 15 for 44 yards and a touchdown.
That sounds like an Iowa quarterback to me.
Then the backup quarterback was 1 for 1 for 4 yards. So they were 9 for 16, 48 yards passing. Now they ran it for 300. But they ain't running for 300 on Iowa State. So
there's 2 other games I noticed. My sleeper team in the Big 12, Kansas is going to Missouri. What do we see from Kansas?
You know what? Kansas, they've played really well in their first 2 games. That is good. That probably will maybe be the best game of the weekend,
Possibly. There's one more I saw.
That's a nice sleeper game for sure.
Baylor and SMU. That might be an over game. That's 65.
Okay, that's not a bad game either. That's because Baylor looked pretty good, in my opinion, against Auburn. They didn't get it done. How good is this SMU team going to be? Yeah, those are 2 good selections to keep. Those are 2 good to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, that's it for the schedule.
What time is that game?
Which one? SMU Baylor?
Yeah. Oh, so noon.
Yeah, noon game. And then the Kansas-Missouri game is at
3:30.
Yeah. So in other words, go to Gainesville, have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Sing "We Are the Boys."
We
Sway
are
side
the
to side.
boys. I won't back down. Yeah. Kansas only giving up 14 points this year. 31-7, 46-7 against Wagner. Travel to the SEC Missouri boys, the old school rivalry between the Kansas Jayhawks and Missouri Tigers.
Yeah.
All right, my boy. I guess, like I say, I know you got to get back to duties of the NHL. And like I said, we got this thing done in an hour, man. We just back to back. We know what we're doing.
I was talking kind of fast because, like you say,
we're getting good at this. We're getting good at
get to work. Well, plus this week sucks, so there's really not much to talk about.
It's not really we did the breakdown of what we saw. Like, as far as going forward this weekend, not much on the appetite. But I mean, hey, still college football's back. But here's the other thing: the NFL's back tomorrow, so now you can watch. You got Sunday games, so I'm
looking forward to Monday night.
Exactly. So you got if you don't get your fix on Saturday with college football, you got Sunday and Monday, so, and I think is there a Friday night game too?
Yeah.
NFL did. Yeah. See, so there you go.
That's NFL, the Brazil game.
Okay. There you go.
So you got Thursday night with Eagles, Cowboys. And then Friday, I think it's Chargers, Chiefs on Friday night in Brazil. And then your regular slate on Sunday. And it's a lot of I don't know what we're going to see. I mean, obviously, I think the Eagles are still the favorite in the NFC. AFC is wide open because we got a lot of good teams, especially those NFC North teams beating up on each other to where the Chiefs probably could sneak in. But don't sleep on Denver. Denver's going to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be really good, and Bo Nix here too. We'll see what happens. But all right, my peoples, enjoy your college football. Enjoy your NFL football. We're already down week to week 2, man. We've already got one in the belt, one in the can. So appreciate y'all listening to the pod. Come back, come listen. And we got a lot of likes on Facebook last week. Appreciate all that. So
like, subscribe, share.
If you liked it, like it, subscribe it, share it, listen to it, talk about it. Tell us we suck. Tell us we got good takes, bad takes. It is what it is.
Hey, give us any kind of feedback. We'll take it.
Exactly. All right. Until then, we'll be back at you next week. And Farrell will be back in the United States of America.
Hopefully. Hopefully I'm not detained.
He's been deported to Canada, folks. He's doing his shows from the Canada. All right, my people.
I'm good until it starts getting cold. Then it's a different story. I was
about to say, yeah. You can feel the falls coming. You can feel the falls coming here in Florida. It was like I was sitting on the back patio last night. It was like, man, I could feel the.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of posts of everyone saying they feel the falls coming in, but
Haiti's super
here already.
Haiti's super pissed about that because she needs her pool and beach weather 24/7. So
give me that fall weather.
Cruz is pissed too. So we might have to invest in a heated pool in the backyard. So. But all right, my peoples, holler at you. Week 2 is in the book. Week 2, we'll be coming back at you hollering about week 3 because there's some good games on week 3. So holler at your boys, man. Peace.